Hey everyone, and welcome to the Atomic Cinema Experiment. I am Peter. I am joined, as always, by Tara.
Greetings, citizens.
Very nice. A little bit of different delivery there from normal. Shaking things up. I can appreciate it.
You had so many pauses in between the introduction of me, so I continued the pausing.
Okay.
Channeled my inner Shatner.
Yeah, we talk about sci-fi movies on this show. It's a science fiction movie podcast, and this episode we are going to talk about Death Race 2000, continuing our little 70s sci-fi period / month. I don't know exactly how these are going out yet. Maybe a month, maybe a themed month. So this is a movie that I hadn't seen before, which you were surprised by.
Yes, I have seen this movie before.
Yes. I was confused actually because when I looked it up, I thought this was a sequel to something because there's a movie called Death Race from 2 years before it, but it does not appear to be related to this.
I'm not aware of Death Race.
Whatever. There was a remake. I remember the remake coming out in 2008, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who butchered my Resident Evil franchise, the prick.
How dare the Statham one?
Yes, the Statham one. Yeah, I never saw that either. I've never seen any Death Race movie. But when I looked up,
I think I saw it, but it wasn't good.
I think when I looked up, I'm just going to go back here. When I looked up the Death Race franchise on Wikipedia, I was shocked at how many there were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like straight to video ones.
Because there's Death Race 2000. Right, from the one we're going to talk about today, from 1975, right? Roger Corman produced, New World Pictures, start of that kind of era. There's a remake in 2008. There was a sequel in 2010 to that called Death Race 2. And then after that, there's a sequel called Death Race 3 Inferno from 2013. I assume that's direct-to-video. In 2017, there's a Death Race 2050, which was produced by Roger Corman and is a direct sequel to the original Death Race 2000.
Well, we got to do it, right?
Yeah, we got to do that one at the very least. Starring some people. Hold on.
Not robots?
But there's one after that, though. There's Death Race Beyond Anarchy from 2018, starring Danny Trejo, who I think who came back. I assume he had a small role in one of the remake movies, but I don't know which one.
Machete.
Yes, but... Yes, Death Race 2050 stars Malcolm McDowell, Manu Bennett, who I know from he was Deathstroke on Arrow, Marcy Miller, and a couple other people. Yancey Butler's in there, who was in Kick-Ass. So, like, there's a couple of people in there that are names.
All right. Pretty high ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, I assume.
Well, let me click on it and find out. Let me click on it. Reception on Wikipedia. What does it say? Critical reception. Rotten Tomatoes gives it an aggregated rating of 89%.
What?
Hold on. Based on 9 reviews. So it's not a lot of reviews, admittedly.
That's still pretty promising.
Not a big sample pool. Scott Weinberg, reviewing it for The Nerdist, said, all very clunky and a ramshackle and a kitschy, but there's just a part of the shaggy dog charm of the production. What a weird compliment. So
this sounds like good bad.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Oh, yeah. There's one more here. And Sebastian Zavala, writing for ScreenAnarchy.com, declared it's got enough blood, guts, simplistic political commentary, scenery, chewing, and terrible special effects for it to become a cult classic. I'm sold.
All right, we have to watch this movie.
Yeah, I'm sold. I'm sold. But anyway, so Death Race 2000. We'll start spoiler free, of course, as we always do. We'll give you a warning before we get into spoilers. This is a movie set in the year 2000, the not too distant future.
Yeah.
Keep in mind,
our old future, yes. My favorite.
Directed, obviously, it was made in 1975, or came out in 1975. So, in the film universe's history, in 1980, society kind of collapsed, and the world kind of changed. And every year, this is very. I was getting a little bit of Hunger Games from this premise, and also
very much. Yeah, I was thinking Hunger Games a lot.
So basically, every year they have this death race.
The gladiator fight,
Kind of, yeah. They have this death race, which I would describe this movie actually as a cross between Hunger Games and Wacky Races.
Don't know Wacky Races. I was getting like Hunger Games and like Running Man vibes, but those are very similar types of films.
Yeah. I could see Running Man. Yeah, Wacky Races is a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. Have you ever heard of Dick Dastardly and Muttley? Ever heard of those characters?
No, I've heard of Hanna-Barbera.
Well, okay. I mean, this is from like the 60s. I expect you to know the older stuff. Come on.
No.
So it's just a really fun cartoon where every episode is a race, and Dick Dastardly and Muttley are the two that are always trying to cheat, and they always comes back in their faces. And you have all these characters. Like each car's got a theme, and each racer's with that theme. So there's like two cavemen in like a sort of little caveman style car. There's
okay,
so on and so on.
Pretty sure I had like micro machines with the same thing.
Oh yeah, I could see that. So, and I'm pretty sure that was the 60s, so it wouldn't surprise me if this was even an inspiration. Wacky Races was like kind of, let's do a violent R-rated version of that. So the death race itself is a race between 5 cars, each with 2 people in it, a driver and a navigator. What the navigator's actually doing during the race, I have no idea. The movie didn't justify the second person at all the entire time.
But I'm pretty sure they're just there to be a companion.
Yeah, because they're all couples, and they all seem to have sex at the pit stops, because there's 2 pit stops, because they're going across country, which they do in three days. So there's 2 like nights where they have a pit stop and like spend the night in a hotel, and get naked massages. More on that later. But so not only are they racing,
movie.
not only are they racing all the way from, I didn't quite catch what was it. I'm assuming New York because it was up in that corner, but I actually don't know if it was New York. It might have been anywhere up there.
I think so. I think it was like New York.
New York. Yeah.
Because they're racing to New Los Angeles.
Yeah. Why not just New Angeles? Come on.
New Los Angeles. New LA.
Well, actually, wasn't Demolition Man? Wasn't it San Angeles? Wasn't that the
San Angeles?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was Demolition Man.
I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've watched that movie.
Yeah. Oh, we'll do it at some point.
That's funny.
So it's this cross-country race. They have these pit stops, but on top of just getting there first, which is worth X amount of the victory, there's also a point system. And what's so weird about this is I've joked about this in my own life at some point.
Oh yeah, we all have.
Without ever seeing this movie, where I've joked, because I remember like sitting in class in high school joking, and I think it was inspired because if you ever played Die Hard Trilogy on PlayStation 1, like there was 3 games in it, right? The first game was like a third-person shooter in a building, right, like Die Hard 1, and then the second game in it was like a light gun game, like, and it was in an airport, like Die Hard 2, and then the third one was a driving game where you're in a taxi cab, and it was like Crazy Taxi. You had to get from A to B, over and over again. But it was, instead of picking up passengers, it was like getting to the bomb. So you were disarming it technically by getting to the circle in time. But the key feature of that Die Hard 3 game was that if you went into the POV, camera inside the car, if you ran into civilians, like you'd get blood all over the windscreen. And the wind wipers would like wipe it away, and that was like all you did. Like you got the cheat for infinite time, and you just mopped up civilians. That is what you did for fun with Die Hard 3. And
it's funny.
And I remember it inspiring a conversation. And that's obviously, I was in high school much later than that game. That game was when I was like, I was really young when that game was out. But we were talking about it in high school, and it led to this. What about a game that was the point? And you got like a points value for hitting certain people. Like you got, if you get a wee granny.
Yeah, but then you have to like assign value to different types of people, and that's where it gets a little sketchy.
Yeah, well, you have to avoid race, because that is completely sketchy, right? I don't feel that offensive in saying that children are worth double.
What about all females are worth an additional 10 points?
Okay, that one's problematic.
No matter the age.
Yeah, that one's problematic. But bonus points for grannies and kids, or even, what about professions? Like, for example, in this movie, there's a road worker at one point. What about road workers are worth like a road worker bonus? Or, like, if you get like a priest, that's like mega points. 100 points for a priest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun game. We all play it, especially when we all get our first car. We're all just like joking around, like.
Yeah,
I've never actually run anyone over.
Yeah, don't mention that in your driving test, though. I'm pretty sure you'll get failed on the spot. Yeah, I assigned points in my head to to what I'd get if I knocked certain people down.
Of course, any animal is negative points.
Yes. Except from snakes.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, points for snakes. Don't go. They're not bunnies. They're not dogs or kitties. They're snakes.
I don't know. I saw a snake dying once in the road and made me real sad. Ruined my day.
They offer nothing of value. That's all I'm saying.
They eat rodents. They eat pests.
Nothing of value.
Okay.
I can kill the pest myself. It's fine. Anyway, so that's the premise of the sport they're playing, right? It's this yearly race, but unlike Hunger Games, it's not like a lottery. It's like people who are kind of celebrities. They're famous for doing this every year. And the lead one that we kind of get to know is Frankenstein, played by David Carradine, who wears like a gimp suit. Now,
is it too soon to make jokes?
I've heard other people make jokes about how he died, because if you don't know, David Carradine died with autoerotic asphyxiation, which basically
into the weird stuff.
Yeah, which basically means he had a noose around his neck and he was having a wank, and it went too far. I mean that I can't claim to know that much about this. That is my extent of knowledge. Is that there's some self-choking involved whilst masturbating, but. If anything, when he get hired for this, he says, "Okay, I'll do the movie, but only if I can wear a gimp suit." That was probably in his contract.
You know that unfortunately his death has
Raised awareness.
Well, yeah, thankfully, wear a ribbon for him. But it's more like every time I watch a David Carradine movie, I can't not think about it. So if he shows up in like a gimp suit or like a leather suit or vinyl or whatever, I'm always just like, because he's kinky.
Well, this is why most people don't tell people their fetishes, because that's all you can think about when you look at that person.
It's true.
Like, he's a consenting adult.
He consented himself.
He's not harming anyone else.
No, of course not.
If he wants to take the risk, it's on him, and he paid the price for it.
Yeah.
Maybe he went.
Unfortunately, it was made public.
Maybe he went out happier than he could have done. Maybe this was the way he wanted to go out. I don't know.
You're right. Maybe he died in that state of bliss, of euphoria. You know what? Good for him. Okay, hopefully it's been long enough since it's happened that we can make fun of it.
Almost enough for a bonus, but let's be honest, we've been making fun of this for a few minutes.
I don't think we'll have that much to say about Death Race, so maybe not.
Yeah, I just if only someone could tell Beatrice that that's all it would take to kill Bill. I mean.
Yep. I get it.
So, Tara, do you enjoy the movie?
The movie is.
Actually, hold on. Hold the phone. What?
You asked me a question.
How have I not mentioned this shit? Sylvester Stallone's in this movie.
Oh my God,
we have to talk about this.
This is pre-Rocky and post the porno movie he made.
This is the earliest thing I've ever seen Sylvester Stallone in. It's only a year before Rocky, so he was clearly busy behind the scenes trying to get his movie made. He was like, "Yeah, come on, let's do Rocky. I want to do this important film that I care about. So I'm going to be in a car. We're in this dumb cheap car movie to make some money first.
Gonna be around a lot of naked girls." Yeah, it's young, very very young Sylvester Stallone, and not very beefy. And he's not a beefcake in this one.
No, he's a villain as well. He's like the bad guy. He's the antagonist driver.
That's weird.
Yeah, I'm so used to him being the good guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, probably an important thing to mention.
Yeah, that's a big thing to mention.
That's really where the names end, I think, though. Just David Carradine and Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, sure, yeah. But we do have to mention just all the cars here, though, all the themes, because there's one in particular that stuck out to me as being kind of weird. So Frankenstein.
I know which one.
Yeah, so Frankenstein's in a gimp suit and his car's got like a fin, like a spiky fin,
It looks like a crocodile or something.
Yeah, he's got a whole maybe it's like a leather sort of thing, like crocodile's leather. He's going for like a theme. And I know as a vegan that's upsetting your mood, but that's what it is. There's Calamity Jane, who's like a sort of the cowgirl one, who's got her mechanic dude as her husband or whatever as her spotter or navigator.
Yeah, and it's got like the Texas bullhorns on it.
Yeah, of course. David Carradine's navigator's this new woman that he's not met before. He's sort of assigned. And that becomes important.
Some babe.
Yeah, some babe. Yes. Well, as he's like, because he gets this big introduction as he's walking to like the airport, and it's like, we don't get to see him, we just see his feet. As like, all the reporters are asking him questions, they're like, "Oh, have you met your new your navigator yet? She's red hot." Like that. That's like. So there's this really over the top like TV presenter who like presents the whole thing, and he's so into it.
Yeah. This is very like Stanley Tucci in Hunger Games also.
Yeah. They just ripped this movie off, didn't they? Hunger Games. Hunger Games watched this, and then the author watched Battle Royale and went, "I've got an idea." That's what happened. But anyway, there are cars. So there's obviously Sylvester Stallone, who's Machine Gun Joe. He's got like a machete in the front of his car.
He's got like a gangster look to him also.
Yeah, and he's got his like wife or whoever is his navigator. And then we have there was the Greek mythology one. The only notable thing about these two, because let's be honest, they're kind of the red shirts. They're there to go first. No male spoilers. But the only notable thing about them is just how revealing the woman's top is. I'm pretty sure I could see some nipple coming through that top.
I was looking. I think I saw a little side nip.
Yeah, it was revealing. And then the fifth one, the one that I really want to bring up. Because there was one point in the crowd where so all these people have their supporters, where there's like, in the crowd there's like the people who support that person, and they've got t-shirts on and stuff. I thought I saw a kid with a swastika flag, and I thought, that's weird. Why is there a swastika? And in rolls in this last car, which isn't even like color schemed like Nazis. It's just this blue car, but it happens to have swastikas, and they've got they refer to themselves as the master race, and I'm like, why? I mean, I guess it's showing that, like, in this
because of the master race.
Yeah.
Death race.
Okay.
There's a lot of race puns in this.
Yeah, she also says, I'm part of the master race. Women. She says like a catty line like that at one point. But like the whole thing is like, I don't know. It's weird. I guess what it's doing. I guess it's actually ahead of its time. It's predicting neo-Nazis. And it's saying, no, there will be a group. But it was weird to me how like the rest of the crowd didn't boo them just for being Nazis. It was weird. I'm like, what is this?
For me, it was like, oh, is this like an alternate history where like the Nazis are allies somehow, and like we're all just part of this one, like the whole Earth is really America now, and we just include everybody or something like that. But I'm not really sure.
Well, so that makes like France state number 92.
I don't know. France really gets like, is like the butt of a lot of jokes in the movie, though.
Yeah, they're at war with France.
For a lot of the comedy, that doesn't really work for me.
Yeah.
So it's not that I'm a French supporter.
That's a weird thing you have to point out, but okay. So I'll ask the question again now that I've gotten the Stallone and all the stuff that came from that out of the way. Tara, do you enjoy Death Race 2000?
Yeah, it's stupid, but it's stupid fun. It's definitely a movie that I've seen before because it was one that my friends kind of had in a circle on VHS that we would just pass along, like, you gotta watch Death Race, and so it's already sort of a death or like a cult classic in my mind, and that's why I guess I'm surprised that you hadn't seen it or knew about it. But yeah, I like it. Like, it's not a good movie. It's not, but it's got a lot of energy. The characters are so over the top. Our hero is ridiculous, and it's fun to watch for all those reasons.
It's it's surprising that I've not seen it because it's definitely the sort of thing that's in my wheelhouse. No pun intended.
Maybe
but But I enjoyed it. As soon as I realized this was Wacky Races with like them trying to murder, like, which, I mean, I have a lot of like logistical problems and like, you know, common sense issues that I'm going to bring up. Like, for example, why is everyone not just hiding in their houses today because they know this race is on? Like, what?
I know.
There's literally at one point there's a kid playing with a tire in the street, and I'm like, why are you out? Why are the parents letting him out of the street? Pull him inside.
He should be in a cage during these 3 days.
But I mean, jeez.
Don't you know you're worth a lot of points, kid?
But
I like that a lot of them though seem to be like people who are out there to try to goad them to try to like we're out here just to like to trick them.
There's a culture that's formed around this with people wanting to, and obviously we get to the resistance who are trying to like take this whole system down, and they're trying to like sabotage the whole thing. But yeah, there's people who are there to like play chicken with them, and like they'll say, hey, I went out on death race day and survived, and that, you know, like, there's this weird kind of like, and I actually kind of like that part of it. It felt really well thought out, essentially.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah, it really did.
Obviously, for the most part, though, it's goofy, and there's like over the top kill scenes, which I did enjoy greatly. I enjoyed the cheesiness of it.
There's one in particular at an old folks' home that really makes me laugh every time.
Sure, yes. Really good stuff. If I were to say anything to improve this movie, I'd say add some more kills. Do some more. Like, rack up another half dozen. Come on. But I had fun as far as B movies go. Like, I was into this. It didn't end the way I thought it would.
Nope.
There's a transition to the final scene that just was so forced to me. We're doing. Oh, okay. This is how it's ending. All right.
Yeah.
As you were. So, but no, Death Race 2000 is a joy.
Solid B movie fun.
Yep. Is solid, and as with a lot of these movies from the 70s, lots of unnecessary boobs throughout.
Yeah.
There's a weird I'll get to that in spoilers, I suppose, but there's a weird bit of repetition as well at one point, with the boobs no less, but I'll get to that. So no, it's delightful. I mean, I guess I have to give the spoiler more. I don't know what else to talk about.
Yeah, I think I was trying to think maybe the score. There is a lot of like classical music that's used. It's like, oh, they're doing the 2001 thing, and it's kind of nice.
Or it's cheaper because it's public domain.
Yeah, but I like it though. It makes things kind of, now it's a classy film all of a sudden.
So. Yes, actually, one thing I can mention is at the start, when they're like starting the race, there's like a really bad like backdrop painting of like the city, like behind them.
Oh yeah, that's right. I love it. And then at one point, like a train goes by, and it looks so like painted on. It's great.
Yeah, it's this really dodgy backdrop to show us futuristic city. So yes, it's definitely a cheap movie, though. No one's debating that.
Mm-hmm.
But they have some car explosions. Well, they have some toy car explosions at the very least. I mean, there's at least one that goes off a cliff that is definitely a toy as it's falling down.
That is such a Looney Tunes scene.
Oh, it is as well. It's exactly
straight out of the Wile E. Coyote handbook.
Yeah, it really is. And I anticipated it, and it was amazing. And yeah. So, all right. So, full spoilers then for Death Race 2000. I will take this time to thank our Patreon producers at the time of recording, although they might change a little bit by the time this goes out. So thanks to David Short, Alison M. Fordyce, Cindy Palacios, and Tyler Hess. That means they're all patrons at the $20 or above tiers, but you don't have to be a patron that high, do you, Tara?
No, Peter. If you like what we do and you want to support us, you can check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/MildFuzzTV. And donating as little as $1 per month will get you bonus episodes of the Ace. And you also get bonus episodes of the horror podcast, Screams After Midnight, which Peter does with Tim. And there's a whole back catalog now of movies you can find. So they tend to be this level, the B movie, Death Race 2000 types.
But this isn't a bonus episode, though.
This is not a bonus one, no. So, yeah, go check it out.
Our logic was if it's good enough for Criterion.
Yeah. This one, because I had seen it before, I did bring that up. Like, I think this might be a bonus movie, but it's on Criterion, so.
Yeah, well, we can do some goofy movies on here from time to time. So, full spoilers for the movie then. So we mentioned the presenter, who's really like, into it. Like he is like, because the first time someone gets killed, no one gets sad. This is the weird thing. No one is sad that people are dying, right? It's just like, and that's the first points on the board.
Except for the wife.
Except for the wife,
which we see later.
And I was going to get to that because there's also this kind of TV presenter woman who is there to do all the gossipy stuff, right? And there's literally a scene after the first person, this construction worker gets killed. Frankenstein. No, actually, no, it's not Frankenstein. It's Machine Gun Joe.
Machine Gun.
It's Stallone.
Yeah.
He gets this construction worker, and blood sprays everywhere as he hits him. He's like, "Oh, he got his first points." Soon after this, it cuts to like, so that the women presenter's like, "Okay, and I'm here with the widow now of our first victim, and because you're
congratulations."
Yes, because your husband was the first points on the board, you have won a trip to." Blah blah blah. Like, what is it? She's
got like mascara running down her cheeks, but she's like, "I'm so happy." Thank you for all those things, the gifts.
It's gold. I guess the first thing. I mean, I'll talk about the pit stops first because that's really. If I have a complaint about the structure, is that I thought it was really weird how with two pit stops where they stop in like various cities, like they both end the exact same way with. They're kind of been a debate whilst the woman, what's her name, Annie, Frankenstein's navigator, like she gets naked, and we get some nudity, fine, whatever, and it ends with them having sex. That's the first pit stop. But then the second pit stop, he's a little suspicious that she might be like double crossing him, but then they just talk it out. She gets naked and they have sex, and they both end in like really similar ways. I'm like, why did we do this twice? We didn't have to do it twice. It was weird.
Because boobs.
I guess. Well, the first pit stop has a scene where they're all getting massages and they're all naked.
Yeah, and then two of the women start like catfighting.
Yeah, whilst naked. It's almost like they're pandering, Tara.
It's. You think?
It's almost like.
Huh. I wonder how confused Stallone was. He's like, "I finally made it a Hollywood movie. I'm not doing softcore porn anymore." And then that happened.
This was a transitional film for him, Tara. Transitional.
That's right.
Yes. And they get all mad. But obviously one of the things that happens on the first day then. So it's the first day, we have our first kill. Frankenstein's kill. So he's driving past this old folks home, this old retirement hospital. Yeah. And
all the nurses are purposely putting out old people onto the road because old people are worth a lot of points.
Yeah, and they refer to it as this is the annual euthanasia ceremony where they put all these old people out in the street for the drivers to like kill them.
Yeah, and
that really made me laugh. Them calling this euthanasia really made me laugh. But there's a swerve here because Frankenstein literally swerves. Instead of like running over all the old people, he takes a sharp right and goes up through the porch of the hospital and knocks down all the nurses and doctors who put them out there.
But we don't see the car going through everybody. We just see like all the bodies, nurses and doctors just popping out of the top. It's so funny.
Oh, so good. And it's actually because obviously the big so Annie is working with the resistance and she's got a plan with the resistance. That's kind of her real plot, if you will. But this is kind of the first hint in the movie that Frankenstein probably secretly is against the president as well. Like he wants to change things too, because he intentionally went after the people who were trying to kill the old people and not the old people themselves. So that was the first hint. I went, okay, so he's secretly against all this too. He's kind of an anti-hero. And by the end of the movie he's probably going to save the day. Cool, whatever. But the other big thing is that the resistance themselves, who are run by this old woman that's Annie's grandmother, they actually set a trap for the Greek mythology car. They have them pretend to have like a picnic, and it's a guy with a mustache, but he's got like a wig on to be like a wife, and they leave like a doll on the picnic like blanket. And the car's like, oh, look at that, there's a picnic, there's a baby. Oh, baby's worth so many points.
They just left the baby there. Yeah.
But obviously there's a bomb. It explodes and kills them, and it's like, oh no. So they're all a little bit tetchy when they get to the first pit stop about like, oh, like, are they hunting us all? Like, do we have to be careful? Do we
Yeah, because I think it's right after that explosion happens that the woman from the resistance like takes over the TV and sends out a message about the resistance, and so but everyone involved in the race is trying to cover it up. So they're saying, oh, they're not dead. They're just out of the race. And
she gets on the radio and she's like, if you're listening to this, my name is Joni Connor and you are the resistance.
Yeah, there's some proto-Terminator. I think James Cameron might have been a fan of Death Race 2000.
No, only Terminator Salvation. This is nothing to do with the little Terminators. I'm just saying it reminds me of John Connor doing his resistance bollocks on the radio. And that one. Do we have to redo Terminator Salvation already? Is that what I'm learning here?
No, I blocked it from my brain. There's no room. I'm like Kelly Bundy. Every time I watch a new movie, I have to get rid of an old one.
Do you know what? This is not me cracking an age joke about you, but for some reason, the first thing that popped in my mind about Kelly Bundy from Married with Children is an episode where she's with her friends and they're talking about the future, and she's like, you know, before we know it, guys, we'll hit that day. The big 2-5, and they all look really scared. Oh dear. I enjoy Married with Children. That was a good show.
I agree.
That was a good show.
It has its ups and downs, but like the highs are really high.
Yeah, I agree.
And Kelly Bundy doing the sports trivia is the highest, I think. That's where I learned about the thing with her brain that I think I also have.
Okay.
There's only so much space.
Only so much space, yeah. No. So, a second day, probably my favorite car-related shenanigans. You refer to it as the Looney Tunes kill. So, the Resistance put up a sign saying, you know, diversion, right? You know,
detour, yeah.
Detour, yeah, whatever. Go this way, and then they put out like a cardboard cutout of the tunnel, and it looks the same as the tunnels that are in this area because we see them get into a real tunnel at one point, and it looks the same. They've got like a cardboard painting of a tunnel with a black curtain for the tunnel part that they've put at the edge of a cliff. So we see the Nazis, and this makes it funnier. It's the Nazi ones, but they literally
because they have a rocket like on their car.
Yeah, they do a quick turn and they're going through the tunnel, and it just cuts to them like screaming and falling down the cliff. It's delightful. It's absolutely delightful.
Yeah, very Acme Laboratory.
In fact, it's the start of the second day actually that Frankenstein does a U-turn at the start of the race and runs down like the head of the race, like the president of the racing committee or whatever it is.
Yeah, he's like a religious figure.
Yeah. And then there's this debate where, like, because they hear about it in the radio in the cars, and Stallone's like, "Oh, that doesn't count for points. You can't, knock down religious figures." And the presenter's like on TV is like, "Well, we don't know if we can count that because like it's unprecedented, and we have to. Oh, I've just got the word down. It gets a little note. I've just got the word down. The Frankenstein's points do count. Points. Yeah." And he's so excited by it, and it cuts back to Stallone, and Stallone is just livid, and just mad because he's mad
every time someone says something about Frankenstein and not him.
Yeah, because
there's also I've seen, I think in the first pit stop where Frankenstein meets like a fan from the fan club, and she's like, "I want you to meet me so it'll mean something." And then I think the second day is when like all the fans of Frankenstein come out, and she like sacrifices herself for points. And I don't know, I thought maybe that was supposed to be like his turning point. Like I know he did it with the nurses or whatever, but I still believe him when he says he wants to win. I think this is where it's supposed to be like, it does mean something.
Well, no, he always wanted to win because his whole plan was to shake the hand of the president because his fake hand's got a grenade in it.
He's got a hand grenade
in his hand. Yes. Yes.
I don't know if we mentioned like the reason he's called Frankenstein is because he's had like every body part replaced at some point because he always gets crashes.
He claims that the hand's the only one that actually, because he's got this gimp mask on and it looks like he's all burned underneath, but when he takes the gimp mask off, you find out the burned part is actually part of the mask and he's actually just normal looking.
I don't know. She's talking to him in the first night, and she's like, "So, what parts have been replaced?" And he's like, "I'll show you."
Before I mention, actually, you mentioned that Stallone gets upset every time they cheer for Frankenstein or talk about Frankenstein. When he arrives at the start, because Frankenstein comes in last, and they all start saying, or they're all booing him or they're chanting for Frankenstein. Stallone pulls out like a shotgun and just starts firing into the crowd, and no one reacts to it. No one screams. No one
Everyone's still cheering.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It was very like WWE style.
All I could think was are these blanks? Is it just like for show? But it just.
I was thinking that too. I was expecting to see a bunch of people with squibs in the audience.
Yeah, I was.
Maybe they couldn't afford it.
I was really. No one reacted to it. I mean. That today's a mass shooting, in this movie, it's just no one's noticing. It's weird.
This is just part of sports now. We love our violence.
And they also tricked Stallone because they kind of implied that they were going down this detour, this little side route, and they sent him down this, and he's like debating whether I should take it or not, and he ends up getting stuck and has to go back to the highway, and so he
loses time.
So he's really pissed about that. However, the construction guy who talks to him, he actually has a really weird line because he says something like, "I think I've seen you before. I'm the biggest fan." I was like, that's a weird pair of lines. Like, if he said "Oh, you're this guy. I'm a big fan." Fine. "Oh, you're this guy. Oh yeah, I think I've seen you." Fine. But he says, "I think I've seen you before." I'm your biggest
fan after he doesn't know who he is.
Immediately to "I'm your biggest fan." But it pisses off Stallone so much that he gets in the car and circles round and tries to kill him, and eventually does, and tramples him. He's in the water. He's in like a shallow pool of water, and he runs over him. So that's how he kills him. That's that's that.
Worth the wait.
Yes, and the Resistance try to swap out Frankenstein by setting a trap, but he's too good, and he gets around it, and he kills the fake Frankenstein.
And he's suspicious because that's when his alarm bells ring about his navigator, because she said, "Let's take this detour. I think it would be good," and goes down that road and immediately walks into an ambush.
Yeah, although he covers for her later because he makes her drive for a little bit and then covers for her when someone's asking him "But did she give you that idea? Was this on her?" And he's like, No, it was me."
He said no. Yeah.
So
But he doesn't want to get pulled from the race.
Exactly. Yeah. And of course, actually, another one that I liked a lot is Calamity Jane. Her navigator gets killed on the second day. She's still in the race, but he's actually doing some mechanics work. He's under the car, and it's the Nazis, because it's right before they die. They just I knew it was coming. It was so obvious they were going to do this, but they just run over him as he's halfway under the car, and you just sort of have to tumble. And then Jane just shouts, "Oh, you sons of bitches! I'll kill you for that."
Yeah, that was good. There's also right in the beginning where there's a guy dressed up as a matador, and because their car looks like a bull, he's just toying with them, trying to get them to run him over, and they just get the blanket instead, or the whatever he's using, the red sheet instead. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
It was pretty good. So basically, Stallone has learned from what Frankenstein did the first day or the second day, because in the start of the third day, he actually, because they have a fight, right? There's a whole scene where Stallone, because he's pissed that he was tricked by the navigator, but Annie, to go on this detour, that he comes down looking for her, and it gets really violent. He basically says he's going to kill her. He's strangling her, and he's like, "Oh, you've got a minute to live. I'm going to kill you." But Frankenstein shows up, and they have what might be the lamest fight I've ever seen in a movie. It is so bad looking.
I know, between Rocky and Bill. I know. David Carradine. How is it so bad?
But it's so badly choreographed and filmed. The stuntmen were really obvious at least one of them, because Carradine's got enough leather over his face that you can kind of get away with it a bit more. But it's a terrible fight scene. But Stallone gets beat up, and the next day his pit crew that are sort of getting his car ready are sort of joking, "Oh, hate to see the other guy," blah, blah, mocking him. So
Yeah.
when the horn goes off, Stallone just goes out in reverse and runs down his own pit crew for a cool 40 points, 20 apiece.
Yeah. But they can't.
But they can't.
If only you had women pit crew.
It'd have been 60 points.
Yeah.
Because we know the elderly and children are worth more.
Yes.
Yes, there's a whole point.
I think they're worth
section.
the most. But if you can get a mother with her child, I think it's also worth like a lot of points or something.
Is it a multiplier? Like, you know, so you get the 30 for the mother and then like say the 50 for the child, but then it's a multiplier because you're getting them together. Like it's like a twofer. Which, by the way, how do they even know what they're hitting? Is there sensors in the car? Is there like?
I don't know. I imagine this is being broadcast to everybody.
Where are the cameras then? Like...
I don't know. There was a camera filming the whole time. What are you talking about?
There's just some logical holes here that I think it's fine to point out. I mean, I'm still having fun.
This is the future of 2000. Okay, clearly they have tree cameras by then.
The future of 2000 when we were both children. Yes.
Yes, children.
You were still a child.
Sure.
15's a child, all right?
How dare you say my age?
Why are you giving me all these looks like I'm being inaccurate? I'm trying to argue that you were a child. That is me saying you were young.
A teenager, yeah.
As it ramps up, Jane unfortunately gets killed because she's lured next to a landmine, and she doesn't actually hit the landmine right away. She's actually, it's when she's reversing and like sort of doing like this like 5-point turn, she ends up backing into it eventually, and it blows up. But I mean, she did kill some of the people who planted it, at least, I think. So I mean, that was, you know, that's something. Stallone gets it when Annie pulls out the grenade hand from Frankenstein, and
she has to unscrew it.
and throws it into the car, and then they blow up. And it's when he reveals that he's got a grenade in his hand that he's like, "No, I want to win because I want to shake hands with the president and then use this on him."
I have a hand grenade.
Yeah,
it's just a metal hand with the grenade imprinted on it. It has a pin. You have to pull the pin.
But when they get to the finish line.
What's really good though is that when he does take off the hand, he's like, well, "You're gonna have to use the stick shift for me. You're gonna have to shift for me now." Like, that's funny because he doesn't have a hand.
I'm glad you explained that joke.
Yeah.
That's funny because he doesn't have a hand.
But do you get it? Like,
I get it. Yes.
Because the hand is gone.
Yes.
He needs to shift.
Yes.
I know you don't drive, so.
I understand the concept well enough. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's funny. It's a funny movie.
So when they get to the finish line, Frankenstein goes up to the president, and it's like, but he's not got his grenade anymore. How does this work? And basically, like, the old woman like shows up and takes a shot at Frankenstein, and then we find out that it's actually Annie. She switched places with him. Frankenstein's lying in wait in his underwear in the car, pops up, and then drives into the little like sort of like podium they've built for this little ceremony.
For the president.
Yeah, and the fall alone kills the president. And for some reason in this world, if you kill the president, that means you become the president.
It's like Shogun rules, like.
It's like the Chronicles of Riddick. That they're actually taking the rules from Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah, or like Klingon rules. If you want to be the lieutenant commander, you have to kill the one who's the lieutenant commander now.
Or to go to a wrestling interpretation, to quote Ric Flair, to be the man, you got to beat the man.
There's plenty of examples of this in history.
Of course. So basically, the music swells up, and the music transitions with the new scene and turns into dun 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 dun, and I'm like, what the hell? They're getting Frankenstein and Annie are getting married.
Yep.
this
and
movie
the whole time they are also dictating laws.
Yeah, they're getting questioned by the press on the way out of the church, and they're saying, "Oh, what's your first, as Mr. and Mrs. President, what are you going to do first?" It's like, "Oh, well, we're going to give power back to minorities, and we're going to abolish the race, and yada yada." And the presenter, who's been really enthusiastic on the movie, is like, "What? You can't abolish the race? It's violent, and Americans love violence. You can't do that."
Yes.
So, of course, the movie ends with Frankenstein in his, just married car, running over the presenter, as the rest of the press just kind of clap and don't care that a man's just been murdered in front of them. They don't give a shit.
That's just Frankenstein doing what he does.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's full of plot
Is
holes.
that social commentary?
I mean, there is technically some social commentary in here, but it's like social commentary if, like, I don't know, it's like a gorilla throwing paint at a wall. It's not. it's there, but it's not the heart of the movie. The heart of the movie is just how dumb and fun it is. It's violent, wacky races, and on that premise, I can get on board and have a fun with all the various kill scenes and cookie characters and whatnot. That's what it is.
Cookie is a good word for it.
I love how some of the attachments in the cars, like the teeth and stuff like that, are like sort of like wobbling. Like, it's not like they're metal that are welded onto the car.
When Carradine and Stallone are having that fight, like, he pushes Stallone like right up to the blade that's on the car, and the blade is like clearly made of foam and plastic. Like, it's not threatening at all.
Yeah. If anything, they held on the shot so long, it looked like the sort of shot that might go to a freeze frame and then like go to a to be continued or something like that. But it's just them holding on him, like his face close to it for like 20 seconds. And they're like, "Come on, you should have cut away by now. Come on."
Yeah, we really didn't need a close up of the poorly designed, cheap, fake metal. Probably a bad call.
Yeah, really, really weird. But so here's
just crazy enough to work.
Here's a funny thing. So Junior Bruce, who I think is the presenter, let me just click on his image here and make sure that's who this is. Yes, that's the presenter. So his name is Don Steele. He was not credited as Don Steele though, on its own. He was credited as the real Don Steele.
Oh, please stand up.
I don't know why. Was there a phony? Also, I mean,
maybe because real and steel kind of
rhyme. Yeah.
Rhyme.
It kind of sounds like a porn name. I'm not gonna lie. Was this guy in porn before this? Like, it's entirely possible.
I wouldn't be surprised if most of the cast were.
Yeah. Yeah. We
already know about Stallone's history. Party at Kitty and Studs, or something like that.
I didn't even know the name of it. You clearly know more about Stallone's porn history.
It's famous. I've never seen it, but like, it's famous.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Carradine died in 2009.
Okay, it's been a decade. Yeah.
It's been 11 years.
Over.
Yeah. In Thailand. I didn't remember it was in Thailand he died. That's interesting. So yeah, that's Death Race 2000, and it's definitely left me itching to check out Death Race 2050. Like, how does it hold up when it doesn't have a 70s charm and it has like a 2017 charm instead? Like, does it translate? Yeah. Does it work?
Yeah, I'm curious, especially after those reviews that you read out. They sound like it's worth checking out.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see if they were able to establish the utopia that they had promised the two presidents, President and Mrs. President.
Yes, Mr. and Mrs. President, as they put it.
Yes.
So, no, we'll see. And just think, one day there'll be a podcast, probably not us because we might be dead, but in 2050 there'll be a podcast saying, "Hey, this is what they thought 2050 would be like." Ha 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 ha.
We're not going to be dead by then.
Okay, yeah, I'll just be hitting 60. Okay, fair enough. But still, the point remains.
That's true. Podcasting is now obsolete. We only send messages through our minds.
It'll be hologram podcasting. It'll be the Ace hologram edition with two elderly people.
I should probably start working out.
Tara with her white hair.
Yeah. Face for radio.
I'll look like John Hammond. It'll be delightful.
I don't know what I'll look like. Probably my mom.
Look at disgusting your face there. Just a little bit. But yeah, so that basically does it then. That's Death Race 2000. You can let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. You can get us on the Twitters at the Ace Podcast. You can, of course, support us by rating the podcast on Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars. More people will find us that way. You can share us on the social media. And, of course, financially, you can give us some money over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, as we mentioned earlier, and get some bonuses for your troubles. But that is it. Tara, why don't you promote something that else we do?
Should we rate the movie?
Oh shit, I forgot. Yeah, we have to rate the movie. This movie defies ratings. That's why I didn't even think about it. Tara, what would you give Death Race 2000?
It's hard to rate because it's a really bad movie that is just just bad enough to be good. It's certainly not a great movie, but it leaves me wanting more. So it seems like it's too high, but I'm still going to go with it. I'm going to go with a 7.
Sometimes we're just in sync too much, because I'm also going to go with a 7. And I actually rated it 7 on Letterboxd before we recorded this, so the proof is there. Yeah.
I don't use that anymore, so I don't even know.
I was not swayed by Tara. I gave it that first, but no, it's just a good time. It's just fun.
Our periods are in sync. Finally.
I don't know what to say to that.
There's 2 movies in a row we rated the exact same thing. We are, in lockstep. It's a compliment. It's good.
Is it? Okay. So yes, thank you, Tara. Why don't you promote something while I try and regain my sanity after that comment?
Yes. If you like science fiction, we also are reviewing the classic Twilight Zones right now. We're in season 2. You can check out what we think about that. And both Peter and Connor are going through the Star Trek series, and they've already done all the original and are in season 2 of Star Trek Next Generation. Highly recommend that one.
Hey, we might even be in season 3 by the time this goes out.
What? Almost done with Shades of Grey.
We're doing episode 19 tomorrow, recording wise. I don't know, like.
Oh yeah.
So
well, I don't know when this episode's going to go up, but like, yeah, maybe even season 3. They are committed.
Yeah. So hopefully these 70s bonus episodes for this month, whenever they do go up, probably April, are enjoyable, and you're having fun with us checking out these weird old movies. But that is Death Race 2000, and we do have several others that we're looking at doing. At least right now we're recording. What we're doing by the time these go up, I don't know. We'll probably be doing something else. We'll be working through weird 80s movies or something, I don't know. But yes, so that is us though. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching science fiction movies, and computer, that's salsa.
Yum yum.